Hey Alex, I'm super grateful for you doing this. Congrats on your recent Series C, huge milestone. Not a lot of vertical SaaS companies and particularly founders get this milestone. So first, congrats to you and your and the Sense team.
No, appreciate that. It's great seeing you. I wish we could do this in person, but excited to chat and appreciate all the kind words.
I know you've been telling a lot about the Sense story over the years in different sort of ways, but when I looked at a lot of the conversations, my goal today is to kind of go from the very beginning and really dig in and talk about that early beginning of not only building the company, selling to your initial customers, and the journey because it's hard building a any company selling to small businesses, let alone what it takes to go do it in a market that is probably as nuanced as the laundromat ecosystem and dry cleaning ecosystem. So, I'd love to just start with maybe the very very beginning. Um, I know that when you started Sense, maybe you can talk about what like take me to the time period when you're like, "Hey, I want to really want to this is the company I want to found." Like, was it natural to you to say, "I want to start a laundromat business"? I know you got connected to some folks that were in the category, but what was the aha moment to be like, "Wow, I'm gonna go build a new type of category defining company in this in this space"?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it was. It's funny. There's so many terms that I've learned to use now. I probably wouldn't have ever described category defining. I didn't even think I called it vertical SaaS back in the day. I don't know if that was a thing. Maybe it was. I didn't think of it in that way. I think most businesses that I've been a part of and seen really scale are ones that experience some kind of pain in your life directly or notice a pain that others have. And I kind of had it both ways. I saw a pain that when I was interested in buying laundromats, is just purely from an investment standpoint. I saw the pain of operating one of these businesses and collecting quarters and basically buying yourself a job every single store that you have, and kind of hard to have a normal job, a normal life while investing in these amazing kind of SMBs. On the flip side, I spent, my apartment in San Francisco cost an arm and a leg. It still took me 60 quarters to do my laundry. So on one side, I was like, this is insane that this is still the payment method when I go to a parking meter or I do anything else pretty much in my life, and I don't have to deal with coins, but something that people have to do at every end of the economic spectrum. The methods of payments, the experience that we have in paying or getting the service of laundry and then running the businesses, we're just feeling so archaic. So I think it was both as an operator, it was crazy what I thought I would have to do in order to run the business. And as a consumer and a user, it was crazy that if I'm a quarter short, there's no laundry getting done for me in my apartment building. And I think both of those things made me just excited that there's a fun problem to solve.
Did
And I
you
can tell you that.
did you and
Oh yeah.
did you have a co-founder in the beginning, or was it like, hey, you had this idea and then you're like, how do I convince someone else to like kind of work on this with me?
Yeah, I tried to do in sense everything the opposite of how I did my first business. My first business, I was a solo founder till a year before we sold it, where I met who became my CTO and felt just as much as a founder than anything else. And then, very early on with this business, I went to all the smart people and people I liked working with and said, "You want to jam on this?" I met, some a lot of early people, but my brother-in-law and co-founder Gilly, we would just jam on product. He's our chief product officer, and we just jam on ideas and what he had sold his business a year before I sold mine, and we would talk about our respective businesses. And once I wanted to really do this, I wanted to do it with partners, and I know that not only would it de-risk our execution, but it would be a hell of a lot more fun along the way to be jamming with friends and people you enjoy working with and want to win together. So yeah, I think co-founder just I would never do another business as a solo founder myself.
Did was Gilly like, oh, this is amazing, or was there some convincing to do to kind of get him on board? Other than the fact
I
that
mean, I think we were always,
you guys are close and you all know each other.
yeah, I think like we always are looking. I think the people that I love working with, we're finding excuses to work together. I think that this industry on the surface to most is sleepy, unsexy, not interesting. Oh, the TAM's not big enough. Oh, the buyers are not sophisticated enough to embrace all that. It doesn't take long. I think Gilly, from a product perspective, really understood the mechanisms. He built a company called Ivy, which was serving interior designers and home service professionals. And he understood the vertical SaaS play and how it is replicable in a bunch of different verticals. And he came at it from the software side, and I was initially more interested actually on the hardware front because that was the initial idea. And he brought a lot of the software focus that we ended up having. And so I think that it was a mix. I think he saw this as like, oh my God, this is an amazing opportunity and nobody's working in it. We even took PTO to go to the clean show. He went to the clean show before our business even started to just see what's out there and really embrace it from the jump.
And what year was that when you guys, officially, I don't know if it's incorporated or kinda decided to go all in?
Well, I mean, I always recommend the founders always have a C corp going and hold some board meetings from a QSBS standpoint. So I always have something going years before. I got something going now, and I hopefully won't start it for 5 years or more. But just a good strategy to have from a tax perspective. I think, look, we were interested in the industry from an investor standpoint to buy laundromats. And so I was looking at that in 2019 or so. And I think we really took it seriously in 2020 when I went full time. And so I was like kind of 2020 is when it really started to accelerate and pick up. And this is a real thing that we're going to do. And at the end of 2020 is when I ended up going full time and we raised our seed round with Bessemer soon after.
Did you actually buy a laundromat?
I didn't. And the reason that I didn't, I had an LOI out for one and was excited for another two that I was looking at. And I spoke to one of the largest industry lenders who had seen a lot of vendors in the space come and go or stay. And their feedback to me was, I think in many small businesses, but in particularly ours, an operator doesn't, they're very protective and worried about their data. And if they felt like I had any other incentive to want to power their business other than purely being their partner from a software and hardware perspective, they would not look at us fondly. I think and I still today have operators that want me to write letters signing contracts that say I'll never buy a store because they're worried Sense powers all this data. I'm going to open a store next to my best customer and hurt them. And I think it's crazy. One, we'd never do that because nobody would buy our software. And two, we're building software, building hardware, not trying to run retail businesses. Like we know what we're good at, and we want to help others be good at the other things, and powered from that perspective. But I still get that today, and I'm glad we never did. We hired operators as employees. Every Sense employee has to run the counter of one of our customers in their first 45 days of employment. Otherwise, it's grounds for termination. You can expense all the laundry that you send out, laundry or dry cleaning, if you're a Sense employee, and you have to interview operators every quarter as an employee here. So we make it a point where you got to be you got to know what it means to be an operator, an employee, and a customer in the laundry vertical to succeed here. I don't think there's somebody on the planet, maybe very few, that have been to more laundromats and done more laundry at laundromats than me and our team, and we take a lot of pride in that.
That's amazing.
Hey, this is Ben Kesnoka, co-founder of Village Global. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Village Global podcast, where we go deep on all of the biggest topics in tech. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can check us out on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. We'd love to see you for the next one.